I went to St. George's Indian Residential School in Lytton here. And my mom and dad put me in when I was 5 years old because, for one thing, is I looked white, so they figure I might have a better chance in school because as a grown-up, they figured that I might be smarter by putting me in school at 5 years old. And I left there when I was 15. In fact, they pretty well asked me to leave. Put it that way. Because I was just an out-and-out rebel. I rebelled against the system, and even while I was there, I started noticing certain abilities that I had, which was manipulation of people. And I, believe it or not, it was hard to get out of, because even now I still use it. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna talk about the residential school first, because with the residential school, they took us forcibly from our parents, because if they didn't send us to residential school, they were going to go to jail. So we didn't have no choice. And the thing with that is that they separated the boys and the girls. They weren't allowed to associate with each other except in class. And that was the only time you were together. But then usually they separated you there too. The smart ones on one side and the dumb ones on the other side. And I spent 2 years in kindergarten, 2 years in grade 4, and they expected me to go back for a second year in grade 7. I didn't go. So that means I only went to grade 6 in 10 solid years of school. And that's 10 months a year. And when you got to be, I think it was 9 years old, you moved up from number 1 to number 2. And you had certain amount of work that you had to put in. That's half a day's work and a half a day school. And then when you got to be in number 3, then you had to get up in the morning and milk the cows too. That's at 5 o'clock in the morning. And all the vegetables that we grew on that farm is about all we got. The beef was sold in town. The eggs were sold in town. The beef was given to the staff. The apples that we picked, the principal's wife made candy apples out of it, and then she sold it to us kids. And when we had soup, we had dishwater soup. And the staff ate separate from us. They got all the eggs, bacon, everything else. All we had in the morning was mush. That's it. And a glass of milk. And most of it was skimmed milk, too. And the pork was the same way. That was sold in town, too. And whatever we got, bread, they bought it in town. And put it this way, with me, I was a rebel. Right from the word go, I believe there was something in me that told me that I have to survive my way. And when I noticed the ability that I had of manipulating other kids and everything, in fact, there was one supervisor, even at that young age, that I used to manipulate at 5 and 6 years old. And it's hell when you can find that out at that young age and start using it. And I used it in residential school because I knew if I didn't use it that I was going to go down. Because I had blonde hair that was more blonde than yours. I was a white blonde. And when I found out that in a way I was different, because I noticed certain instances where it would come out from the other native kids, because they used to call me a Shemait. That means little white kid. Then I knew I was different. So I figured, well, since I'm different, I have to do something. So I started using my manipulative talent. And I used it right through and everything. Believe it or not, that everything I have ever set out to do, I've done it. I just didn't care for nobody or nothing. When I came out of that school, I knew that I was different than anyone else. I have manipulated policemen. I have manipulated doctors. I learned how to reverse psychology. That's how manipulative I got. And believe it or not, it is a hard habit to break. And I have been trying to break it. That's why I am back in school. And that's why I'm back in school now, because I know now what I want to do. I want to come back here and try and help my own people.